Hi, it's Dr. Betsy, and we're here back with another week of Body, Mind, Spirit. I'm so excited because today we're going to be talking with Lannie Love. She's an award-winning author and a mindset and business coach. So thank you so much, Lannie, for being with us today.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here.
So how did you get into what you're doing for a living?
Oh my gosh, the road, is a long one. I think a lot of people could relate to that. You think you're gonna start off doing one thing, and then I was taken on like a lot of different turns. I thought initially I wanted to wear white coats and be respectable like you, very, very respectable. And I studied science in university. But before that, I had lived in Asia, and I was introduced to like the Asian perspective and traditional Chinese medicine. And I really found all of their diagnostic tools like really interesting. Well, at least the ones that I was introduced to while I was living there, and I had my experience in going to the doctor, and I liked how they took my pulse, and I liked all of the questions that they asked me, like not just like, oh, you have a headache. It's like, where is the headache? What's the frequency? Like is it severe, or is it chronic? Like, when do you get it? What time of the day? And I was sort of blown away by all of the questions that they could ask around like one symptom, trying to get to the root cause of it. So that really just fascinated with me and like stayed in the back of my head. So when I was studying science in university, I thought it was really neat to like look at all of the cells and and learn about the physiology of the body and like the systems and how fascinating our bodies are. But the questions that were asked weren't the right questions for me. And so I worked in the corporate world, and then I had to go back and study like alternative health. And that was a rabbit hole of studying with a lot of different masters and practitioners throughout the world, and just really learning the cool things that energy can do.
What brought you out of the corporate world into the alternative medicine world?
Because I initially always knew that I wanted to do health, and I thought it was the white coat way. And then, I love business. I like the movement of business, but I wasn't living into the health part when I was working in the corporate world. And so I really needed to answer that calling within me, that feeling of having a little bit of a hole, and where is this coming from? So I examined that, and I started studying shiatsu therapy. And why I chose that is because it has a wonderful balance between studying traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine. So you're still studying anatomy and physiology and bioethics and even some business components there, but looking at the meridian system, looking at like pulse and tongue diagnosis, and finding a balance between that was really interesting to me. And I thought I would definitely go more of like the anatomy physiology route, but the more I started learning about the energy systems, the more I became fascinated with the possibilities there. And I studied with this wonderful man, Ted Saito from Japan, and he was an engineer first, and then he became a shiatsu master, but he incorporated really cool engineering techniques into working with the meridian systems. So he would tape diodes along certain meridian channels and create structural shifts, like bone shifts within people's bodies, redirecting the energy currents that way. And from that point on, I was like sold, like, what? That's amazing. So I started learning that.
That's one of the things that I think there's a misconception with, because of here in the United States, or in Western medicine, it's very, I don't know, it's kind of very like cut and dry, and it's going to be evidence-based. And so sometimes I think there's a misconception with the Asian or the Eastern philosophies of medicine that it's a little bit too like woo woo, but it's been around for thousands and thousands of years. And we're able now to prove those things with science. When they talk about the meridians, I mean, there is naturally energy that flows through the body in certain patterns. I mean, we pick it up on EKGs all the time, and nobody ever questions that as being like,
Right. Right. Yeah, no,
yeah.
and exactly. I love that perspective, because it is that. It's like, well, actually, Chinese medicine has been around for thousands of years, and it was all evidence-based because it was all through observation that
Yes.
they were able to refine the questions that they would ask and why they would ask them. It's true science. It's observation of something, and then making a conclusion from those observations, from experiments. So it is nice that we're at a point where those worlds are meeting at an intersection. And Dr. Joe Dispenza does a lot of amazing work there, where he takes all of the work that he's doing, and in the world of energy and meditation and the possibilities there, and does so much analysis and so much testing and provides so much data. So he's like a wonderful intersection of those two worlds.
Oh,
And
I
he has
agree.
the language down. Yeah. I always refer to him. Check out Dr. Joe Dispenza if you have any questions about how these things work. Yeah.
And how do you incorporate it with what you do now?
Well, gosh, because everything in the end bleeds together. The more I started learning about energy, the more I started learning about how energy plays into and affects every aspect of our lives, because exactly that, we are energetic beings, and it can be read on all different kinds of machines. And we can feel it, when we walk into a room and we're like, oh, something about this just doesn't feel right. We use those words, we use that language. And how we do anything is how we do everything, right? So the more I started to learn about energy and how it did color every aspect of my life, or our lives, the more I started to see how it bled into everything. So into mindset, because a certain feeling, or certain thoughts, they have a certain frequency, which is a certain energy, and that can give you energy, that can take away your energy. In business, it's the same. You take yourself wherever you go. So if I'm at home feeling a certain way, which again is emitting a certain frequency, a certain energetic level, I'm going to take that with me into my business. And in terms of like attracting certain clients, those things all intersect as well. So I really like being able to use, multiple aspects of things that I'm passionate about. And also, as you're growing, as I was growing as a healer, so that was my first incarnation. Great, you can be a really fantastic healer, but if you don't know anything about business, then you can't service the clients, the patients that need your help. So I spent years then studying business so I could apply that to my healership and be able to generate clients. So those things just naturally intersected as well. So it was really fun when it finally all came together, and I was able to really find a dynamic that worked well for me and for my clients, because we're all multifaceted beings. We never just do one thing. I'm not just I'm a writer. I'm not just a business person or a healer. I'm a mom. I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. I'm all of these things, and we all are. So I think the more that other people, we give people permission to do all of the things, the more we give ourselves permission. A whole like mirror neuron, phenomenon, where when we see other people doing it, then we can be it, we can live into it.
I wanted to ask you with mindset and the frequency. So, like, for example, I woke up today and just not was in a funk. And so I found that when you're in that mindset, you start noticing all the things around you that just aren't going well. And it's very easy to kind of get sucked into that spiral of like, oh, I'm a failure. I'm, not doing well like everyone else is doing, especially when you go on social media. Like, I think that just kind of like aggravates all of it. So, what kind of advice do you give to somebody who's like, at least, like recognizing that this is like a mindset frequency thing, and how can we change that?
Well, the first thing to do is really just get in the habit. I know that we want to always go from like 0 to 120. We want to get there. We want to get there fast. But the thing about habits is they're ingrained. And so we start doing them without even noticing, right? So the first thing to be able to do is to notice. So when you notice, oh, I'm noticing I am in a bad mood. That's great. Already you're disrupting the pattern. So just notice, and then from noticing, then you go into shifting and you can shift by asking yourself a question. You can shift by just saying, I'm shifting. It's whatever resonates most with you. And I try all of the things depending on what it is to see what is going to work for that particular circumstance. Like when you wake up and you're just in a bad mood, well, when you're going to the noticing part, well, are you noticing that you're always waking up in a bad mood, or was it just this day? And then if you can start to notice a pattern, like maybe every Thursday I wake up and I'm in a bad mood. Well, what am I doing on Wednesday nights? Or what is occurring on Thursdays that maybe subconsciously I'm having a reaction to, and I get to examine it. It's all detective work. So shifting anything in your life, whether it's your mindset or your health or your business, whatever it is, it becomes detective work. We have to examine what the triggers are so that we can look at the triggers and then look at whatever that cause would be. And sometimes it could be something that happened, like when you were 6 years old. But it just, when you create momentum around something, then it starts to hide, the root cause. Going back to traditional Chinese medicine, we're looking at the root cause. So when we can really be detectives in our own lives, then we can create like the ultimate shift, that root shift, and that produces a domino effect for the rest of our lives. But so the easiest thing to do, first thing in the baby step, is just notice what you notice, and get familiar with that as a sentence, as a saying. Notice what I notice. And then the more you notice, the more awareness you have, and then you can be intentional instead of just falling into habit. No, actually, I intend on feeling this way. Because if you're just waking up, you're just starting the day. There's nothing that should have or could have happened that would put you in that mindset. So likely you're subconsciously not in alignment with something that's going to be happening that day. And then you get to look at all of those things, and hopefully you choose to create a life in which you're like in alignment with, you're lining up with the things that bring you joy and make you feel good, because that just creates a more joyful life, but a life more full of ease and of not waking up and feeling bad. I hope that was a good answer.
That is great. And we'll find out some more when we come back from the break.
Christmas is believed to be a magical time when angels roam the earth, bringing messages of hope and good cheer. Do you need a Christmas angel? I Need a Christmas Angel, a Christmas novella from Tolson Publishing. Kelly Benson has spent the last 5 years hiding in Chicago after her crush Gabe brought a pregnant wife home. Gabe is raising his 4-year-old daughter alone after his wife of 5 years moved to Tampa with her boyfriend. Depressed and hopeless after being fired a week before Christmas, Kelly wishes for a Christmas angel to come work its magic. Can the magic of Christmas drive the loneliness away? Will a Christmas angel bring a love Kelly's way? I Need a Christmas Angel by Raquel Tolson. Order your copy today. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and TolsonBooks.com.
And we're back and talking with Lannie Love. So Lannie, you have a book that's coming out. It's There Is Magic, but There Is No Magic Pill.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
I love that saying. But you're right. I think there's so many of us are just looking for the magic pill. So what is your book about?
Exactly, exactly that, in working with people and quite frankly, full vulnerability and working on myself, it's been a really long journey of me working on me. And I got so frustrated along my journey because I'm doing the work and I'm like, where are the results? Like, where is it? If I'm doing it for like a couple of months or a year, the frustration really led me to, one, I'm missing the magic along the journey. I hated that saying. I hated it. It's in the journey. Life is in the journey. And it really is. It really is. Like it's in the present moments. It's the hugs and kisses from your kids. It's the beautiful meal, the wonderful glass of wine, the sunset. We talk about these things a lot, or we hear people reiterating the same thing over and over again. And I think we hear it over and over again because we're not getting it. I know I needed to hear it over and over again because I wasn't getting it. The magic is in the everyday. The magic is in the unfoldment. And for some people, and I definitely want to make the statement and put it out there, some people's change can be instantaneous. It does happen. That miracle, that possibility, that magic is available. And if your journey takes longer, it's okay. It's okay. And it took me 15 years to get to my journey is taking a long time. And it's okay, because that's my path. So where's the magic in that? What does magic look like? How do I connect to it? How do I create more of it in my life? And there's no magic pill. I can't just do one thing one time, or even for like a month. Like it's a lifelong thing, just like health and like weight loss. You can't go to the gym one time. There's no magic pill for that, and then have the body that you dreamed of. It's the same thing for our mental emotional state, the state of our business, our growth. We have to continually be working at it. And when we continually work on it and accept or let go, then we open ourselves up to the possibility of magic and what that looks like for us. And so that was the motivation, was my own frustration. And then in working with clients, like just looking at their journey and how each one was really different, and how a lot of people come to me come to whatever healer or coach, looking for that, okay, and I want it now. And yeah, we do. We want it now for sure. We want to facilitate and have change in our lives immediately. And sometimes you're not ready for that. Like, I can't go from 5 pounds to 50 pounds, because if I try to lift that up, I'm gonna like damage something or break something or pull something. It's the same in the energetic space and the emotional space. Like you only get as much as you can handle. And it's true. And it's the same for success. You only get as much as you can handle. If you don't have the systems in place, if you don't have your vision in place, then success can only be as big as it can be for you. So there's no magic pill. We have to do the work, but there is a lot of magic in doing the work.
And I think, yeah, the magic is also the journey. I mean, I think about my own life, and I'm turning 50 this year. And probably by time this gets by time this gets released, I will be already 50. But and I go, gosh, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I'm like still trying to figure it out. And so, it's so, constantly just trying to develop yourselves. And I totally understand the frustration, and like I mentioned before with social media, it's tough because our brains kind of go into this comparison mode, and we go, well, like, oh, look at that person's doing so well. Well, most of those overnight successes took like years and years and years to get there. We don't see that whole process. So
yeah, exactly what we were talking about on the break about the book. Yeah, I have my overnight success with my book as it started 12 years ago.
yeah, exactly.
And now it's finally coming into fruition. But yeah, it's the journey. I'm sure there are overnight successes, and I'm sure that they've created the thing within themselves that it was able to enact that for themselves, so that they could make that come to life. And social media is a wonderful thing, and we have to shift the lenses in which we look at it if we want to feel good about ourselves. Because yes, we know that everybody's placing their best foot forward, and they're envisioning into the greatest version of themselves possible. They have to envision into that, and they have to like post that, because in some ways social media are our own like little media vision boards. If we're posting the best versions of ourselves, then we get to live into that. And yeah, we have to remember that when we're looking at other people's stuff, to feel good. And we can be inspired by it. That just goes back to what we were talking about earlier about like waking up in a certain mindset. It's like we could feel bad, or we could say, wow, that's so cool, the thing that they're doing. Or wow, I would love to experience something similar to that. I wonder how I create that. And that again goes back to the questions of being a detective. Like, why do I feel this way, or what inspires me about that, and how can I create that in my own life?
Do you find when you're working with your clients, is there like a type of advice that you find yourself giving over and over again, like a theme when it comes to advice?
No, self-worth, honestly, and like not being afraid to ask for what it is that we truly want, instead of painting this picture of what we think that we need to say or do. Getting deeper into like, what do you really want? What do you really want? What do you really want? And being okay with that. Most people aren't okay with asking for what they really want, because their sense of self-worth is diminished in some way. It's that. So if we're getting like spiritual, that idea of like separation from God, and it's fascinating that regardless of the lens in which people are coming to me, whether it be business or mindset or a disease, it's fascinating how I can always like go back to that. Most often things are about being able to ask, being able to really claim the big vision for your life, and then take that a step back. And then that's self-worth, self-love. Again, we hear about that all the time, and we keep hearing it because we really, we need to live into it. We need to look into it, and we need to heal.
It was making me think about, it seems like there's almost like an epidemic of people having problems with self-worth. And I'm wondering where that comes from. I mean, of course, everybody's story is different, but there's so many people that are suffering with issues of self-worth, and people you wouldn't even expect to have these problems. So
yeah, it really is like most people. It's like we really only have one problem. and it just shows up in all of these different ways. It's simplifying things for sure, but there's a lot of truth in it. This fear of intimacy, of vulnerability, of love, of being big, of shining your light, of really claiming who you are and claiming your space and being able to articulate that and bring color and life and vibrancy to it and feeling like it's okay. I don't know why. Maybe it's interesting that we all suffer from the same thing, because there's a lot of support in that. There's a lot of like, we are all one. We are all one. So if we're all suffering from the same challenge, then isn't it wonderful that we could like all be there to support each other through making that challenge into an opportunity?
And I think, people are starting to realize that, once again, in general, I'm making a lot of generalizations, that, being yourself and even showing your vulnerabilities is a great way to share and grow. I mean, I don't know why I'm on the social media kick today, but, when we see the real people, and when it comes to even like the real people without the makeup and without the without the filters and the pretenses, that's when I feel more connected to somebody, is when I get to see that person who they really are, as opposed to what they're putting forth, and how great how great they're trying to come off. But I mean, at the same time, if you're great, be great. I mean, like, don't be don't be apologetic about it. Shine.
Yeah, no, I think that it's the authenticity. We're all drawn to authenticity and vulnerability, but it's also like, I can relate to you being real because that's how I feel on the inside. I feel real. It's fun. It's fun to, put on beautiful clothing and have your hair done and your makeup done, and all of that's fun. And a certain aspect of it is real, certainly if it's an authentic expression of how you like to present yourself in the world. But at the end of the day, we all come home and like we wash our makeup off, and there's that resonance in that, like that's where we all are. We're all just these people trying on different things, and when we can relate to somebody, then yes, that's really authentic, and then we can connect deeper to them because we're relating to them. Yeah.
This has been wonderful. Where can people find out more information about you?
They can go to my website. I got really lucky. I have Lannie.com, LAINNE.com, and they can find me on social media at Lannie Love. I'm trying to be there. I'm making the effort to be there more often, because it's really important to show up. Yeah, to be accessible. So that's where you can find me, and I'm happy to connect with you.
This is great. And I can't wait for your book to come out. We'll be definitely promoting that. That'll be awesome.
Thank you so much.
So make sure that everyone, that you take the time, go look at Lannie's website, and don't forget to go to WYTV7.org and look at all our other programming. And while you're there, don't forget to press the donate button, because the donate button not only helps to bring programs like this to you, but also you can see all the wonderful things that we're doing in the community with what you're able to give. And even the smallest amount makes a difference. So once again, don't forget to follow me on social media, Dr. Betsy Greenleaf. And there's a couple different fashions of that, but if you just look up Dr. Betsy Greenleaf, and don't forget to tune in again next week for another episode of Body, Mind, Spirit. Thank you once again, Lannie, for being with us today.
Thank you.